The old, weathered bus creaked as it climbed the winding road leading to Blackwood Forest. A group of high school students, accompanied by their strict teacher, Ms. Harper, and the cheerful but slightly jittery driver, Mr. Collins, were heading to a remote campsite for a weekend trip. Among the students were Sarah, a quiet girl with a love for sketching, Tyler, the class clown, Mia, Sarah's best friend and polar opposite, and Alex, the reserved new kid who seemed to be hiding something. The forest grew denser as they ventured deeper. The towering trees cast long shadows, and the once vivid daylight faded into a gray, oppressive gloom. A chilling wind whispered through the branches, carrying with it the faint scent of decaying leaves. Mia shivered and nudged Sarah. "Why does it feel like we're being watched?" she muttered. Sarah glanced out the window, her eyes catching fleeting glimpses of movement among the trees. Too fast to be animals, too erratic to be people. The group arrived at the campsite, an open clearing surrounded by an impenetrable wall of trees. The air was still, unnervingly quiet, broken only by the rustle of leaves underfoot. As they unloaded their gear, Alex stood apart, his gaze fixed on the woods. "What's wrong, Alex?" Tyler teased, feigning fear. "Afraid of the big bad forest?" Alex's lips twitched into a forced smile, but he didn't answer. That night, around the campfire, Ms. Harper told a local legend about the Hollow Ones, faceless spirits said to haunt the forest. According to the tale, they were once children who disappeared during a school trip decades ago, their souls consumed by the forest. Tyler laughed nervously. "Nice try, Ms. Harper. You're just trying to scare us." But Sarah noticed Alex's knuckles whitening as he gripped his flashlight. Later, as the students retreated to their tents, Sarah stayed back to sketch the fire. Her pencil moved swiftly over the paper, but when she looked down, the image wasn't of the fire. It was of a gaunt, faceless figure standing among the trees. She froze, her breath catching. A sudden sound of twigs snapping made her whip around, but the clearing was empty. The next morning, one of the students, Emily, was missing. Her tent was empty, her belongings untouched. The group searched the area, their calls echoing unanswered through the trees. Alex hesitated before joining the search, his eyes darting nervously. "We need to stick together," he insisted, his voice trembling. "Splitting up is a bad idea." As they combed through the forest, Sarah found a tattered scarf caught on a low branch, Emily's scarf. It was damp and smelled faintly of iron. She held it up, her voice faltering. She wouldn't have just left this behind. A distant sound, a child's laughter, faint and hollow, drifted through the air. The group froze. "That wasn't Emily," Mia whispered. As night fell, the group returned to the campsite, only to find their tents slashed and their supplies scattered. Panic set in. Ms. Harper tried to maintain control, but her composure cracked when Mr. Collins revealed that the bus wouldn't start. "It's the Hollow Ones," Alex blurted out. "They're real. They take people, turn them into one of them. That's why I didn't want to come here." His confession was met with disbelief, but the fear in his eyes was undeniable. That night, the forest came alive. Shadows moved unnaturally, darting between the trees. Whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices calling the students' names. Tyler, trying to prove his bravery, ventured into the woods with a flashlight. The others heard his screams moments later, but when they found him, he was gone. Only his flashlight remained, its beam flickering weakly. Desperation mounted. The group barricaded themselves in an abandoned ranger station they stumbled upon. Inside, they found old, crumbling files detailing previous disappearances in the area. The photos of missing children looked eerily similar to the distorted figures Sarah had sketched. "It's them," she whispered. "They're trapped here, in the forest, and now they want us." The shadows outside thickened, pressing against the windows. The laughter returned, now accompanied by the sound of children singing an off-key lullaby. One by one, the students began to see things, loved ones calling to them from the trees, promises of safety just beyond the door. Mia nearly succumbed, stepping toward the voices before Sarah yanked her back. "It's not real!" she screamed, tears streaming down her face. By dawn, only Sarah, Mia, and Alex remained. Miss Harper had vanished during the night, her final scream abruptly cut off. The forest seemed alive now, the trees twisting unnaturally, branches reaching like skeletal hands. "We have to destroy the heart of this place," Alex said, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. "It's the only way to break the curse." Guided by Alex's instincts, the trio ventured deeper into the forest, the air growing colder with every step. They reached a clearing where a massive, gnarled tree stood, its roots tangled with skeletal remains. The tree pulsed as if alive, its bark slick with a dark, viscous liquid. "This is it," Alex said. He produced a lighter and a small bottle of kerosene from his backpack. "We burn it." As they doused the tree, the hollow ones emerged, their featureless faces contorted in silent screams. The air grew heavy, pressing against their chests as the figures closed in. "Hurry!" Mia shouted, her voice barely audible over the rising wind. Sarah struck the lighter, her hand shaking, and threw it onto the tree. Flames erupted, engulfing the grotesque figure. The hollow ones writhed and shrieked, their forms dissolving into ash. The forest trembled, the oppressive darkness lifting. But as the flames consumed the tree, Alex collapsed, his face pale. "I was marked," he choked out, revealing a dark symbol burned into his chest. "It won't let me leave." The forest fell silent. Morning light broke through the canopy as Sarah and Mia stumbled back to the road, their clothes torn and faces haunted. Behind them, the forest stood unchanged, eerily serene. As they flagged down a passing car, Sarah glanced back one last time. For a fleeting moment, she saw Alex standing among the trees, his face blank, his hand raised in a silent farewell. The forest had claimed another guardian. The hollow ones would return,